Have you ever walked away from a conversation and found yourself thinking about it hours later? Perhaps someone made an innocent comment, and for some reason it stayed with you. Or maybe you've reacted more strongly than you expected, leaving you wondering afterwards, why did that affect me so much? It's something many of us experience at different points in our lives, yet we rarely stop to wonder why the same situation can affect one person so deeply, while someone else barely gives it a second thought. So, what is it about certain moments that seem to touch something much deeper than what's happening right in front of us? Hi, welcome to my channel, where we gently explore spirituality, inner growth, reflection, and reconnecting with ourselves. Today, let's gently explore emotional triggers, not to judge them or try to get rid of them, but simply to become a little more curious about them. Because sometimes, the moments that seem the most confusing can reveal something about ourselves that we hadn't noticed before. It's interesting how it's often the smallest things that stay with us. A passing comment, a particular tone of voice, feeling left out of a conversation, being interrupted before we finished speaking. On the surface, they can seem like such ordinary moments, yet every now and then, one of them seems to touch something much deeper. This is what we often describe as being triggered, not because there's something wrong with us, but because something in that moment seems to connect with an experience, a feeling, or perhaps even a part of ourselves that already existed long before that conversation ever took place. I sometimes wonder if that's why triggers can feel so confusing. We know we're reacting to what's happening now, yet part of us senses that our reaction somehow feels bigger than the moment itself. And perhaps that's why they can be so difficult to understand. We're not only experiencing what's in front of us, we're also bringing our own past experiences with us into that moment. One thing I find really interesting is that no two people seem to have exactly the same triggers. A comment that deeply upsets one person might barely register with someone else. One person may feel hurt by being ignored, while another finds criticism much harder to cope with. Someone else may react strongly when they feel rejected, misunderstood, or not heard. That doesn't mean one person's reaction is right and another person's is wrong. It simply reminds us that we've all had different experiences. We've all had conversations, relationships, disappointments, and moments that have shaped the way we experience the world. I sometimes think a trigger is a little like an old memory being stirred. Not necessarily a memory we can clearly picture, but an experience that left an emotional impression on us. Perhaps that's why our current situation can sometimes feel strangely familiar, even though we know it's completely different. If you watched the video on emotional intelligence a couple of weeks ago, you might remember we talked about that small pause between feeling an emotion and responding to it. This is one of the reasons that pause can be so valuable. It gives us a moment to notice that our reaction may be connected to something deeper than what's happening right in front of us. It isn't always easy to join the dots. We might not remember exactly where a particular feeling began, or why certain situations affect us more than others. But perhaps we don't always need the answers. When we begin looking at our triggers this way, they can feel a little less like something that's happening to us, and a little more like something that's asking for our attention. Not because every trigger has a hidden meaning that we have to figure out, and not because we need to analyze every emotion that comes along. But every now and then, a trigger might quietly ask us to pause and wonder, why did that affect me so much? That single question can open the door to understanding ourselves in a way that blame never could. If you found yourself thinking about old conversations or past reactions while watching this, I hope you'll try not to be too hard on yourself. Most of us were doing the best we could with the understanding we had at the time. We can't respond with an awareness we haven't developed yet. Looking back can help us understand ourselves more clearly, but it doesn't mean we should judge the person we were then. If this video has brought old memories to mind, I hope you'll meet them with the same kindness you'd offer a close friend. The more I reflect on all of this, the more I find myself thinking that perhaps understanding our triggers isn't really about changing who we are. It's about understanding ourselves a little more deeply. The next time something catches you off guard, there may not be an explanation waiting to be found, but there might be an opportunity to become a little more curious about your own experience, to wonder why that particular moment stayed with you, while so many others simply passed by unnoticed. Next week, we'll continue this conversation as we explore how our beliefs and patterns can quietly influence the way we think, feel, and respond to the people and situations around us. Perhaps the greatest value in understanding our triggers isn't that we stop getting triggered. Maybe it's that we begin to see those moments a little differently. So if, over the next few days, you find yourself replaying a conversation or thinking about a reaction you had, I hope you won't rush to judge yourself. Just notice it. See where your own reflections take you. After all, none of us can change the past, but we can continue learning about ourselves. And perhaps that's enough. Not because we're trying to fix ourselves or become someone else, but because little by little, we begin to see ourselves with a little more understanding, a little more kindness, and perhaps a little more grace for ourselves. Until next time, love yourself deeply. If this resonated with you, please like the video and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. See you in the next one.